terrible thing to say.
I was your most valuable asset. What's happened?
You lost value, sorry.
Okay, so what I do is when I go back is I have a clean piece of paper, and I have on their agenda 1 blank, and then what their priorities are, right, that I see. So 2, 3, 4, and 5 are the priorities that I basically talk about. So agenda 1, it's blank, and then maybe on the second one, so they mentioned debt a lot of times, so debt would be that, a high on the list. Putting money away, RSPs, retirement, emergency, whatever, you just write those things down. So then I just open up with, hey, John, Mary, good to see you guys again. Good to see you too, David. David's my trainee. Very silent, strong, silent type. So I have an agenda, and I obviously want to go through the plan, and we want to start implementing some of those solutions for you, providing that they meet with your expectations. But even though I have an agenda, as you can see on my piece of paper here, I have left number 1 blank. Because I want to know what is the most important priority for you guys today.
Well, we got talking about it, and we realize our debt really truly is
That's the big
something
thing, eh?
that's been putting a wedge between us.
Okay?
So yeah, really, that would be number 1 if anything.
Okay. So that happens to be my main goal as well. So I think that if we get some stress relief here, we're going to be able to tackle some of the other things, and we're going to get some things going for you.
You also triggered my mind about the business too.
Oh, good. Well, that's awesome. We're going to have lots of time together to talk about that.
Perfect.
Okay. So here's your plan. Now, normally I'll do the plan in color, but because I made a mistake and I had to print it off real quick, it's in black and white. I do make mistakes every once in a while. What's that?
Looks like it's in color to us.
Woo! There you go. That's pretty big. So let's get started with your financial needs analysis. So if you recall, I talked to you about the financial needs analysis being kind of like a GPS or a blueprint to your financial house. So let's take a look at some of the things that we're actually going to be able to cover here. In your financial house, the foundation is by far the most important thing, right? And you want to make sure that that foundation doesn't have any cracks so that when you build the rest of the floors of the house, everything is solid. Make sense?
Yeah.
So protection management really talks about having the right kind of life insurance in place. It also talks about having other insurances in place, which we're going to talk about, having a will and estate plan in place, and then also your emergency fund. So that's kind of the foundation of your house. So we're going to take care of those 2 things for you today. Debt management seems to be big on all of our minds here, so we've got a plan to help you that I think is going to be quite manageable, and it's going to give you some structure there so that if you just follow the plan, you're going to be just fine. Now, I have to tell you that debt quite often is an issue for most couples because too much debt will keep you from doing other things like putting money away for education, putting money away for retirement, the vacations, that type of thing, right? So then after that, we're going to deal with these areas here having to do with your retirement and your education and your goals and dreams. And then finally, I'm excited to show you that with this business opportunity, there might be a way for us to actually take a look at getting an excess rather than a shortfall so that we can work on that together as well. Make sense?
Sure does.
Awesome. So remember we were talking about the 5%ers and the 95%ers, right? The 5%ers are okay or wealthy, the 95%ers are retiring broke. These 2 things are number 1 and 2, what the 5%ers focus on in managing their daily money.
Okay.
You ready? It's called your financial position page, and basically what it shows you is that your guys' income combined is about $13,560 a month before taxes. Now, the 5%ers know what percentage goes to living, taxes, debt, savings, and insurance. Do you guys currently know what percentages go to those different categories?
No idea.
Well, then that's good thing I'm here, eh?
Yeah.
Because I'm going to show you all that. So what we see is that your insurance premiums for life, auto, and all the other things is about $526, so about 4%. Savings is $661, so that would include the RESPs, the RSPs, and your tax-free savings account. Debt payments are $29.18, about 22%. Taxes, which would include property taxes, income taxes, CPP-EI, all the pension stuff, all that kind of stuff is about 35%, which actually is pretty normal. And then what's left over is $47.70. Now, $4,770 is basically where that $1,500 is going to come from. And so what I've done with that commitment is I've said we're going to take $500 right off the top and we're going to put that towards debt. And we're going to take from the other $1,000, we're going to put the rest of the plan together, right? And I know that tithing is really big part of your game plan. That tithing number actually is coming out of here. It's not included in any of this stuff. So really, in fact, there's another $500 a month that you guys are doing in tithing that we're going to be able to maintain that and still do the $1,500 commitment. You guys good with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty
Absolutely.
excited about that. I saw that, and I really respect this, that you guys are making that commitment, so that's good. The other thing that the 5%ers focus on is something called net worth. And what net worth is basically what you own, right, your assets, less what you owe on those assets, and that comes down to this number right here. Now, fortunately, you can see that this number is green, not red. If it's red, then we have a lot of work to do. If it's green, we're good, but we're not out of the woods yet, right? So what we've included is your retirement assets, education assets, your tax-free savings account, your home market value to come up with $529,000, and then we take away the mortgage balance and all the other debts, which is $388,000, and that's how we came up with a positive net worth of $140,000. Right? So congratulate yourselves.
Positive is good.
Positive is very good. So my next question is if there was a way that we could actually focus and grow that number over time, would you be interested in implementing that?
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Good. So let's focus on your retirement planning a little bit. Now, retirement planning, sometimes people want to know, but they don't want to know, right? They want to know, but they don't want to know. They want to know, but they don't want to know, right? Because it's kind of a, what does this all mean, right? Well, your guys' actually looks really good. So let's take a look at that. You've got, your current income is at $13,560. You said that in today's dollars, you'd be happy to retire on $4,500, right? But if we factor in inflation from now until the time you retire, that's actually going to be about $6,900. We've included government pension. We've included your teaching pension as well. We've got your retirement ages, life expectancy, the balance of your RSPs, and also what you're contributing. We're using a rate of return of before you retire of about 8%, which I think is quite achievable, and 6% during retirement, and then an inflation rate of 3%. So what does this mean? Well, based on the information you provide and the assumption used in the analysis, right now it's $4,500 in today's dollars, but due to inflation, it's actually going to have to be $6,900 in tomorrow's dollars, right? You guys understand how that works,
Yeah.
right? So to meet your goal, you will need to actually accumulate, in addition to the pension and everything else, about $665,000 in retirement assets. So that's that pile of money that's actually going to, supplement the pension and all that kind of stuff. Now this number is going to change over time. Why? Because as you work longer in your pension plan, the formula changes that number, so we'll be able to adjust that.
Right.
But based on what you need to do from today forward, we actually need to start contributing more money than we are to that retirement plan, right?
Okay.
So you're thinking, yeah, but what about the debt? I want to pay off the debt. So I've got a plan for that. Let's take a look at what it looks like currently, and then I'll show you what it looks like after we get rid of the debt. How's that?
Okay.
Okay, so that financial independence number is very important. One way to accomplish this is to save $1,455 per month, which is $1,184 more than you're currently saving, but still will only take you to 10 to 12%, right? And what do they always say? You should save 10% of your income, right? So we're still going to be that. Don't be discouraged, because Primerica Man is here and we've got a solution for you.
Oh, thank goodness.
There we go. That's awesome. Okay, so based on the grid, this is where we're at, and this is kind of the goal right here. So your FIN number is 665, right? And this is the amount that, in an ideal world, that you'd need to contribute to get totally on track. You guys are actually putting money away already, so that actual number is less. It's about $1,184. So I don't want you to be discouraged, but I do want you to take a look at this picture, because sometimes the numbers are great, but it's just too much. I can't handle it. What this says here is that you will still have a retirement. Okay, so this is where you'll end up. It may not be the retirement that you're 100% planning on, but there still is going to be retirement. What we have to do is we have to make up this shortfall here, okay? So the shortfall right now is about $367,000. So based on what you're doing, you're still going to get very close to $300,000, providing we get your assets in the right vehicle and you keep doing what you're doing, right? So that's important. And to make up the shortfall, I've got a couple of options for you as well, but the main thing is that don't be discouraged. There still will be a retirement, right? It may not work out exactly the way you want it to, and we want to get you as close to that as possible. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So, for example, if you waited just 5 years, the fin number's about the same, but it would take less for you to get there, right? So that's why we're going to keep reviewing this, meeting together, kind of figuring where you guys are out. And who knows, maybe you can make that shortfall up just coming to work with us part-time, John?
That'd be nice.
And there you go, right? You should take care of it. One of the things I always like to talk to people about is making sure that you have your different types of funds. You have your short-term emergency fund, you have your short-term or middle-term account that I call it, and then your wealth-building accounts like your RSPs, like your tax-free savings account, that type of thing, right? So basically, this is emergency fund right here. This is kind of the RESP stuff and like the vacations and goals and dreams, and this is your long-term stuff to get you through to retirement. And so you guys can go through that and kind of take a look at what it says in that How Money Works book I gave you. By the way, did you get a chance to get through that, John?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah,
It's nice, isn't it?
it is.
Pretty easy read. You know, when I first got started, that was my whole presentation. All the wordsmithing, everything that, you know, how you explain those concepts, it's all right in there.
Oh, wow.
If you just keep reading that, you'll know how to do presentation better than I can, right? Because, you know, how good David's presentation was, right? And he just keeps reading that How Money Works book, and that's why you're so good, right, David?
Smile and nod.
Okay, so I've hurt you a little bit with the retirement savings plan and the goals and that type of thing. Let me help you and heal that a little bit with a strategy to get out of debt and then take that money and put that towards your goals. You ready? So when we took a look at how many debts you had, there's about 7 items here. The total balance is $388,000. Your average weighted average interest rate is only about 3.2%, but there's a couple items that are quite high, 5, 6, 19, right? The ones that give you nightmares, right?
Yes.
Just doing your minimum payments is $2,918, right? And you're not making any additional payments right now. So the key to getting out of debt is to figure out when you free up some money from paying one item, what to do with that money, and the other way is to actually put some additional money towards that. Okay? And then the total payments are the same because there's no additional amount, and you'll be totally debt-free in June 2116. And you'll only be adding an additional $418,000 of interest to that debt.
So I was right.
Yeah, isn't that shocking? Okay, never mind that. I'm going to show you the solution. Here's the good news. If you take a look at your debt-to-income ratio, which is basically what banks and other lending institutions focus on, you guys are at 22%. You've got good income. Your debt-to-income ratio is actually, they'll love to lend you some more money, right? But we're not interested in that. We're actually interested in eliminating this, right? We're interested in getting rid of that $418,000 of interest.
Definitely.
So, visually, right? A picture paints 1,000 words. This is what we're looking at. Right now, you're putting away $29.18 towards that. You guys will be out of debt at age 146, just in time for you to retire at age 150, right? And you'll have more than enough money to do it by that time, especially if you stick with the investment program, right? I'm just kidding. Would it surprise you to know that just by working with the same $2,918, but just focusing it a little bit differently, you guys could actually be out of debt in time for retirement? And you could actually save $333,000 of that $400,000 of interest? Isn't that amazing? Like I look at this and it just gets me all excited, right? And get goosebumps just looking at this solution. Because now, with the same money, you guys will be done 86 years sooner, or in the next 13 to 14 years, just in time for you guys to go to retirement. Isn't that fantastic?
That
No
is.
debt retirement, that's nice.
No debt retirement, right? So that'll be a big burden off of that money, right? So now you can actually take that money and use it for what it was meant for,
Right.
right? But here, just by committing an extra $500, remember I said we're going to take $500 out of the debt plan. Just by committing that, we can actually get you out of debt a couple of years sooner at age 57, right? So you'll be done in 11 years and 2 months, save a little bit more, right? So it's not impossible with what you're doing, but by committing that extra money, what you're going to see in the short term is you're going to see those things get eliminated a lot sooner. And that's going to give you kind of that momentum, right? And that excitement about seeing this stuff get eliminated. Because when you say debt, is that a very exciting word?
No.
Debt.
No.
My goal is to get out of debt, right? Debt,
disgusting.
right? People don't really get excited about the word debt. But if you can actually see it happening in a plan, that's where it just kind of becomes fantastic. So there's 2 debt stacking examples here. One is just using that 2918 every month. And what happens is that the first item that's going to be eliminated is the TD HELOC fixed. Why? It's got a big payment and it's a fixed payment. So every month you make that payment, interest and principal is getting paid off. When that thing gets done in July of 2020, you have now freed up $557. What do most people do with that freed up money once the debt is paid off?
I would spend it.
Exactly. Let's go get another debt. I need a new truck or maybe a bike.
Let's go on a trip.
Let's go on a trip, right? Whatever. What we're going to say is you're going to take that $557, you're going to bring it down here, you're going to add it to the $188 that was going towards the bike loan, and now that'll be done in the next couple of months. Look at that, October 2020. Now you got some momentum. Then that frees up $745, which you bring down and add to the $67 on the TD Visa, the one you didn't tell Mary about. And that'll get that eliminated in 2021. Sorry, just had to throw that in there. You know, it's
That's
important,
okay.
right? Yeah.
We've had spirited discussions.
There you
about
go,
it since
right? And just by following through, you're going to be done in January of 2030 before retirement, and you'll have saved $333,000.
then. Oh,
Now, with that extra $500 that you've already committed to, this is what that looks like. The first item that's going to be eliminated is the bike loan. That's the one that you want to focus on. But wait a minute, Mike, you told me that the HELOC is going to be done first. You're using a different strategy now. Why? Because we have an amount of money to work with, right? So that's that acceleration amount that goes right here. And I don't know why the computer figures it out this way, but my assumption is that you free up the most amount of money in the shortest period of time so you can eliminate this stuff very quickly. So instead of your first item being done in 2020, it's now done in September of 2017. 2 summers of riding your bike, and it's debt-free, man. Isn't that awesome?
Like that.
Okay.
me too.
Then, in October of 2018, you've eliminated the Visa. Then in July of 2019, you've eliminated the TD HELOC. Then March of 2020, the tuition is eliminated, right?
Wow.
Then in April of 2021, you see how we're building up momentum? Aren't you just excited looking at this plan? Isn't this great?
Yeah.
Well, we got 4 debts done before we get one over there.
Exactly. Exactly. The next 4 years are going to be so awesome. So this is the sheet that you want to put up where you pay your bills so that you can stay focused on it. And you know what? A lot of this stuff you can set up automatically. You could get a hold of the people that run your bike loan and say, I want an extra $500 per payment going on there, and just set it up and it'll just run on.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Okay? Good. So are you excited about that? Well,
Absolutely.
here's the best part. That $3418 that's freed up, that could give you an extra $140,000 to go into your retirement vacation fund, right?
Nice.
And if we do it right, that'll all be tax-free money, because we'll be able to top it up into a tax-free investment account. So when it comes out, it doesn't count as income. You got your growth for free, and you can go and do whatever you need to do. Isn't that great?
Sounds good to me.
Me too.
Now, to me, 140 grand is about 1 weekend in retirement, but I don't know, for you guys, it could be a lot more. Just kidding. Okay, let's talk about what happens in your financial plan. We got the live too long part, right, the 150 years. What happens if something happens to you and you die too soon, right? The plan needs to continue, right? You told me before the bills don't go away. How do we deal with that? Well, what I was able to do is take a look at what your needs were in terms of the income replacement. So John said you would need some of Mary's income if all the bills were paid, right? And Mary, you said you would need some of John's income for 10 years if all the bills were paid. So we've got that in there. So these are the lump sums of money, the 269 and the 202,000 that would get invested to provide that income for the next 10 years. Then we're going to be paying off the mortgage, right? And we're going to be paying off the consumer debt. We're going to be funding those final expenses, so that's an additional 403,000. So if we take a look at what your assets are that you have in place, right, which are growing all the time because you're still putting money towards that, the final number is you have a shortfall, assuming zero insurance, of about 600,000 each, right? But wait a minute, we have some current insurance. What about that? And aren't our debts going to be coming down as we pay them off more? Yes, absolutely. All that is true. But for a period of time until you get to that point where we can actually say that you're self-insured, we still need to protect that income. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's what the needs are. This is the plan that we're able to do. And then, at this point in time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to them about the plan they have, the plan they could have, more coverage, less money, how do we reconfigure things. As they pay off the debt, there's more equity, which means that's their inflation fighter for income replacement, right? And their assets are building, which can count towards that